Congressman Joe Neguse of Colorado, a rising voice in the Democratic caucus, went head-to-head with Attorney General Pam Bondi in what was supposed to be a routine oversight hearing. What followed was anything but routine. Neguse came armed with questions, simple, direct, fundamental questions about how the DOJ operates. Attorney General Bondi, a loyal lieutenant of the Trump administration, came armed with deflection. What you're about to see is not just a congressional hearing. It's a window into what happens when accountability meets stonewalling.
Quote, if you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you, end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds. And Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, "Kill him," at police officers on January 6th. His name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, "Kill him," at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the Public Integrity section of the DOJ's criminal division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like
Mr. Chairman, will you explain to the witness that he does reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the criminal division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many people
You've asked
work?
me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the
people
answer.
work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
PIN will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about
Chairman,
this?
you know what the answer is? And I think I
What's
understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney
Solomon
General.
in
So,
your district.
In any event,
who
I would
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop the clock so his time is not wasted by the witness?
I've been very generous with allowing extra time when we have these little disputes.
I understand.
You got the time, Mr. Neguse.
I might as well ask the chairman these questions.
I'd be happy
because
to
what
answer
is
some of your
fun-
questions.
What's profound, the questions I've
Profound?
asked,
The crime in your
I've
district.
asked, Mr. Chairman, are not trick questions. They're not gotcha questions. They're actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions and the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and the Attorney General refuses to answer it, it is not a coincidence. It's because she eliminated the team. Why? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist, $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Mr. Chairman, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. I would ask the gentleman, does he agree with the standing up of the Deputy Attorney General for dealing with fraud? That's something that's happened in this administration. First time. You talked about Penn. That happened with this Justice Department.
We're talking about this committee.
Mr. Chairman, had you answered the question, had the Attorney General answered the question in that way, perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department of Justice.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentlelady from Wyoming.
Congressman Joe Neguse of Colorado, a former attorney himself, a man who knows how to cross-examine, posed what should have been the simplest of questions to the Attorney General of the United States. How many people work in a given division? Under which president was a particular office created? They are the most basic, fundamental inquiries that any oversight body is entitled to ask of the nation's chief law enforcement officer. And yet, Attorney General Pam Bondi could not, or rather, would not answer them. First, the Department of Justice has hired Jared Weissy, a man indicted by a federal grand jury on 2 felony counts and 4 misdemeanors for his role in the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. A man caught on police body camera footage, shouting, kill him at law enforcement officers. Officers who were, at that very moment, defending the seat of American democracy with their bodies and their lives. That man now draws a paycheck from the same Department of Justice that once sought to hold him accountable. He was pardoned by President Trump and then, remarkably, rewarded with employment. This is the administration that tells you it backs the blue. This is the administration that says, quote, if you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you. Second, the Public Integrity Section, known as PIN, an office born out of the ashes of Watergate, created under President Gerald Ford for the express purpose of rooting out corruption at the highest levels of government, has been gutted, from 35 dedicated public servants to just 2. 2 people tasked with safeguarding the integrity of the most powerful government on earth. Let that sink in. The office designed to prevent another Watergate has been effectively dismantled under an administration that, by any objective measure, is generating more conflicts of interest than any in modern American history. And third, perhaps most telling of all, the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. Congressman Neguse asked a simple question: how many people work there? Attorney General Bondi would not say. And the reason she would not say, as Neguse made painfully clear, is because the answer is 0. The team has been eliminated, dissolved, gone. And why does that matter? Because the President of the United States has personally accumulated an estimated $1.4 billion in cryptocurrency holdings over the past year. The office that would investigate crypto fraud, the office that might one day have had cause to scrutinize transactions uncomfortably close to the Oval Office, no longer exists. That is the deliberate removal of the guardrails that protect the American public from corruption at the very top. What we saw today in that hearing room was an Attorney General who has made a choice. Not a choice to serve the Constitution, not a choice to serve the American people, but a choice to serve one man. And when confronted with the consequences of that choice, the hiring of violent offenders, the gutting of anti-corruption offices, the elimination of enforcement teams that might threaten presidential profits, her response was deflection, obstruction, and silence. Congressman Neguse called it a disgrace. Because when the institution charged with upholding the rule of law becomes an instrument of political loyalty, every American, regardless of party, loses something that may prove very difficult to get back.